Hello from Hokkaido. This time I'm going to talk to you about the trouble that is brewing and happening in Hong Kong with the people. China is having too much of a hand in their politics, and the young university students aren't happy, so they're getting up in arms and protesting about it. Have a look at the wordless PDF, the articles at the top. The words can be found in the same order in the word list, in the YouTube, which I'm doing now, and in the article. Okay, so great way to read and see vocab in context, easy to remember, very efficient. Okay, so Hong Kong, we've seen it in the news, and let's talk about it now. First word, clash. A clash is like wow, two people or groups of people having a standoff, having a to-do, having a fight. There have been clashes between the police and the university students. There have been clashes between other Hong Kong citizens and the university students. These university students aren't very popular in Hong Kong with a lot of people. Flare up. To flare up. If on the sun last week there was a big solar flare where it went, okay? So to flare up means a situation, it bursts. So in Hong Kong, for a couple of weeks it was very peaceful. Every now and again, clashes, violence. That's flare up. The violence flared up, okay? If you have a sickness and you're almost better but it gets worse again, you can say, oh, my cold flared up again. Breaking point. Breaking point. Break is to break, okay? Breaking point is the moment where the pressure becomes too much on something that it breaks, okay? The breaking point in the Hong Kong protests was when the police came and the protesters had to move, but they didn't. That was the breaking point. It's when it all went wrong. Okay? The breaking point of the Fukushima nuclear power plant was when the generators fell over. They could have survived it, but the breaking point was reached when the generators went and there was no power. Dense. Dense means very tightly, very packed. In Hong Kong, the population is very dense. It's very, very compact. In Tokyo also. In Sapporo, not so dense, but a little dense. In New Zealand, where I come from, there are lots of places where it's not dense at all. My hometown, no dense. It's very spacious. It's very sparse. It's not dense. Dense no hantai, sparse. Dense. Key. Key means something of absolute importance. If you have a look at key, you need to get through a door that's locked. What's the most important thing you need? A key. So key noun, something to get through a door. Key adjective, very important, vital. Okay. Tolerant. Tolerance is something which is taught to children in schools. Tolerance, we're not all the same. But to accept other people, accept their differences, and you may not like something, but you accept it, is to be tolerant. Oh, no, okay. The guys in Japan who drive around in their trucks telling people like me to go back to where I come from, they are not tolerant. Okay? Tolerant means to accept other people. It's very important, tolerance. Everyone should be tolerant. The world will be a lot happier place. Undermine. Undermine, you can undermine a person, you can undermine a situation. To undermine is to make something weaker in a secret way. Let's say in a company, the number 2 doesn't like the number 1, and he goes around telling rumors and stories about number 1. Oh, number 1, maybe he's stealing money. Oh, number 1, he's got a drinking problem. Number 2 is undermining number 1. He's taking his power from him in a nasty, secret way. Violation. Violation, there is the law, there are rules. If you do something which is against the law, against the rules, that's a violation. If you are speeding, if you are going along the Kosokudoro at 160 kilometers an hour, like I see people doing all the time, and the policeman catches you, you will be charged with a traffic violation. In Hong Kong, there's been violations against sitting on the street, violations against all sorts. Disrupt. Disrupt. If the situation is going along normally, something makes it not normal, something makes it bad, it disrupts. In Hong Kong, these protests have disrupted the economy, they've disrupted everybody's Nichijou Seikatsu, yeah? They've disrupted the earthquake and the power plant going down. It disrupted the power supply. I had no power for 5 days in Tochigi, so it disrupted it. Minimal. Minimal means a very small amount. Minimal. Minimal, at the moment, if you go outside in Hokkaido in the middle of the winter and you are wearing a t-shirt, that is going to be of minimal use. You need something more, something like a nice jersey. Minimal means a very small amount. At the moment, the nuclear power, we like nuclear power people, are arguing that solar power can only produce a minimal amount of power. Encampment. Encampment. A camp, we're going camping. An encampment is a temporary setup of houses, more often temporary, like tents, etc. At the moment in Hong Kong, people have been setting up encampments on the street where they're camping there. In the earthquake, in the Japanese earthquake, there were set up encampments to help survivors. In Sierra Leone, Liberia Toka, there are encampments set up to deal with Ebola. Temporary, not permanent. Adopt. Adopt. Adopt is to take a name. When I lived in New Zealand, one thing I noticed is that not many, if any, Japanese people adopted a foreign name. On the other hand, many Chinese people adopted a foreign name because Chinese names are very difficult to pronounce for a Westerner. So they adopted foreign names. Everyone calls everyone in Japan, well, not everyone, a lot of people in Japan, the capital of China, Beijing. They still call it Peking. That was the name which was adopted, and now it's gone back to the original name. Baton. A baton is a long, hard stick with which a policeman beats you with if you are causing a disruption through violations, okay? You are disrupting traffic, you are violating the law, you won't do what he wants. Usually when there's a lot of people they have to control, they get the baton, blah, 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 to old Chinese woman, blah, blah. Baton and pepper spray. Jeer. To jeer is to shout out nasty things. Nasty things. When the police were trying to control the crowd in Hong Kong, people were jeering, go home pigs, that kind of thing. That's jeering, okay? If people are at a performance and they don't like it, they will jeer, oh, you're useless. That's a jeer. Profanity. Profanity is bad language. Profanity, if I use profanity around my mother, I get a whack around the ear. Profanity are the bad words, and I know profanity is usually the first words people learn in another language, yeah? I know profanity in heaps of languages, but we won't hear it today. A dialogue. A dialogue is Two people meeting and talking. The talking they do to fix a problem is called to enter into a dialogue, to enter into speech. So dialogue is speech to fix a problem. Speech or written. It can be written dialogue or verbal dialogue. Reversal. When you reverse a car, you go back. Reversal means to swap. You believe one thing and then you change your mind. You reverse your opinion. So if there's a reversal in something, it swaps. It was going that way, it goes that way. Reversal. Condemn. Condemn means to say you really disagree with something. Many people in Japan have condemned nuclear power. The whole world at the moment is condemning ISIS for what they're doing in the Middle East. Condemn. Many people condemn the Khmer Rouge. They have been roundly condemned for what they did in Vietnam, Laos, Tonga, Cambodia. Sit-in. A sit-in is when everybody, in Hong Kong, they all got together and they all sat down on the ground as a protest. And people couldn't get past. A sit-in means to sit there, sit somewhere as a protest. I saw on the news a couple of days ago, there were a group of old men. They had a sit-in in the middle of the road on the way to some genpatsu or another, some nuclear plant. They were having a sit-in in the road. People couldn't go past. Obstruct. Obstruct means to be in the way of something. To obstruct something is to be in the way. Those Japanese men who were sitting in the middle of the road having a sit-in, they were obstructing traffic. People couldn't get through. To obstruct is to stand in the way of something. Resentment. Resentment is bad feeling about something. There have been lots of resentment in Hong Kong towards China. There's been lots of resentment throughout the world towards people coming from the Ebola areas into their country. People show resentment. We don't like you. Yeah? Vicious circle. A vicious circle. A circle goes round and round. A vicious circle going round and round but getting worse and worse and worse. In Liberia. And at the moment, some countries have said we will not let people from those areas come to our country. But what about people who want to fly? What about doctors in Australia, New Zealand, Japan, Tonga, who want to go there and help, but then they can't come back? They won't go. So the situation is just getting worse and worse and worse. Vicious circle going down, getting worse. Sociology. Sociology, you can see society in there. Sociology is the study of society, the study of the way how people work together, the sociology of how people think, what makes people decide things, all to do with society and how community and people work together. Offensive. Offensive in this article, an offensive is the army, the police made an offensive to make an attacking move. The protesters were all sitting there, the police came along with their batons and pepper spray. That was an offensive, to make an offensive. Participant. Sankasha, someone who participates in something. There are many participants in the Yosakoi. There are many participants in the beer garden. Many people participate in going there to drink. At the moment, there are many participants in the protests in Hong Kong. Sentiment is feeling. Sentiment is your feeling. There are many people with bad sentiments about Chinese influence in Hong Kong. A sentiment is how you feel about something. Many people in Japan have bad sentiments about Shinzo Abe putting the tax up, Article 9, all that. A lot of bad sentiment about Article 9. Sentiment, people's feelings about something. Incur. To incur is to bring something bad upon yourself. If you're that guy speeding down the Kosokudoro, you will incur a traffic fine. The worst thing to incur is the anger of a woman. You make a woman angry, or she's angry, so you incur her anger and you will remember it. Civil. Civil means to do with the community. Civil rights, which means the rights people have as part of the community. Be it a town, be it a country, be it the world. Civil means relating to community. Disobedience. Disobedience is doing something you're not supposed to do. Someone tells you to do something and you don't do it, you do something different. Disobedience. When I was at school, the teacher used to say to me, Matthew, I will not tolerate your disobedience. Doing what you're not supposed to. You get told one thing, you don't do it, disobedient. Last word, hinder. Hinder means to stand in the way of something, slow something down. TPP. TPP talks have been hindered the whole way along by countries not being able to agree. In Hong Kong, the protesters are hindering the flow of daily life by sitting on the footpath. Thank you very much. Hinder was the last word. Enjoy. Look at the word list, read the articles, and enjoy and learn. Out.